Imagine you're a soldier, deep in the mud and chaos of World War II. You're given an order. Simple enough on the surface, fix this tank. But as you approach the hulking steel beast, you see the white star painted on its side. This isn't one of yours. This tank belongs to the enemy. What do? Welcome to WarPsyche, where we explore the incredible human stories hidden within the grand narrative of war. Today, we're not talking about generals or grand strategies. We're talking about a single man, a German mechanic named Heinrich Bauer, whose wrench and conscience were tested in a way few of us can imagine. This is the story of a repair order that became a profound act of mercy, a tale of dignity found in the darkest of times. It was the autumn of 1944. The Allied advance was pushing relentlessly across France, a tide of steel and fire. For the German forces, every day was a desperate struggle to hold the line. Heinrich Bauer was part of a mobile repair unit, a man more comfortable with grease and gears than with a rifle. He was a master of his craft, known for his almost magical ability to breathe life back into broken machinery. His world was one of pistons, engines, and hydraulics, a world of logic and order amidst the utter chaos of the front lines. One afternoon, his unit came across a captured American M4 Sherman tank. It was disabled, bogged down in the mud, but largely intact. A prize, his commanding officer, a stern, battle-hardened man named Richter, gave him the order. "Bauer, get it running. We need every piece of armor we can get." For Heinrich, an order was an order. He gathered his tools and approached the Sherman. As a mechanic, he felt a flicker of professional curiosity. The Sherman was a different beast from the Panzers he knew so well. Simpler in some ways, clever in others. But as he hoisted himself onto the hull and peered inside, his professional detachment vanished. The interior was a scene of devastation. It wasn't just metal and wires. It was the ghost of a human space. He saw a faded photograph tucked into a panel, a smiling woman and a small child. He saw a half-eaten chocolate bar and an open book, its pages ruffled by the wind. These weren't just enemies, they were men, just like him, with families and lives left far behind. The air was thick with the scent of fear and sudden violence. This wasn't just a machine, it was a metal tomb. Heinrich began his work, his hands moving with practiced ease, but his mind was in turmoil. He assessed the damage: a thrown track and a flooded engine. It was repairable. As he worked, he discovered something else. Tucked away in a storage compartment, he found a small, leather-bound diary. His English was basic, learned from a cousin who had lived in America, but it was enough. He opened it. The diary belonged to a young corporal named Sam. The entries painted a vivid picture of a farm boy from Ohio, terrified but resolute. Sam wrote about the rain, the cold, the constant fear. He wrote about his crewmatesmen who had become his brothers. He wrote about his sweetheart back home, promising to return and marry her. The last entry was dated just the day before. It spoke of an impending push, of a knot of fear in his stomach, but also of hope. Reading those words, Heinrich felt the artificial barriers of war crumble away. This was not an enemy. This was a young man, full of life and love, caught in the same brutal storm as he was. The tank was no longer a trophy of war. It was a monument to a life cut short. A conflict raged within him, more intense than any battle he had witnessed. His orders were clear. Fixing this tank meant it would be turned against Sam's comrades. It would bring more death, create more widows, more fatherless children. Yet, refusing an order in the German army, especially on the front lines, was a death sentence. His officer, Richter, was not a man to be trifled with. Heinrich worked through the day and into the fading light, his movements becoming slower, more deliberate. He was wrestling with his conscience. Could he live with himself, knowing he had armed the very machine that held the ghost of a young man like Sam? Could he betray his duty to his country, his comrades, his own survival? This was the true cost of war, just the shattered bodies, but the shattered spirits, the impossible moral choices forced upon ordinary people. As darkness fell, he made his decision. It was a choice born not of defiance, but of profound empathy. He would obey his orders, but he would do so in his own way. He reconnected the track and meticulously cleaned the engine. He got it purring again, the powerful motor roaring to life in the quiet evening. He called over Officer Richter, who grunted in approval. "Good work, Bauer. We'll put it to use at dawn." But Heinrich had done more than just repair the tank. While working on the complex engine, he had made a tiny, almost undetectable adjustment. He had slightly misaligned a critical fuel line. It was a subtle act of sabotage, a mechanic's secret. The tank would run. Yes, it would run perfectly for an hour, maybe two. But under the strain of combat, the line would rupture. It would starve the engine of fuel, rendering the mighty Sherman useless at the critical moment, but without causing an explosion that would harm its new crew. He had fulfilled his order, saved his own life, and yet, in his own small way, he had honored the memory of the young man from Ohio. He had refused to let his skills be a tool for more senseless killing. It was an act of bravery, measured not in bullets fired, but in a bolt turned with quiet, compassionate intent. Inside the tank, before he closed the hatch for the last time, he placed the diary back where he found it. He also left a piece of his owner, small, carved wooden bird his father had given him for luck. It was a silent message, a bridge of shared humanity across the chasm of war. A hope that somehow, in some way, this small gesture of respect would find its way into the universe. We don't know what happened to that specific Sherman tank. We don't know if Heinrich's quiet act of rebellion made a difference in the grand scheme of the war. History is written by the victors and focuses on the large-scale battles. But that doesn't diminish the power of his choice. Heinrich Bauer's story, passed down through his family, is a testament to the fact that even in the most dehumanizing of circumstances, our humanity can prevail. It's a reminder that heroism isn't always about charging into the fray. Sometimes, it's about the quiet, courageous choice to uphold one's own moral code when the world is screaming at you to abandon it. War breaks more than just bodies, it tests the very soul. And in that broken-down Sherman in a muddy field in France, a German mechanic faced that test and chose compassion. He chose to repair more than just an engine. He tried, in his own small way, to repair a little piece of a broken world. Thank you for joining us on WarPsyche. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the human heart of conflict. Let us know in the comments what you think of Heinrich's decision. Until next time, remember the stories behind the history.